Let me wait for the response.
Okay, the message didn't come this time.
It's okay, it's already loading.
Okay.
It's now live. Check. What time should I bring them back? It's streaming now. In 5 minutes, I can see your screen on the stream, so it's fine now.
Hi, Elsie. I think we can come back now.
Okay. Here we go.
Yes.
Were we still waiting?
Everything.
All right, welcome back, everyone. I hope we had a lovely breakaway session, and we are ready to share about the different projects in Artivism that we are doing in our different countries. Can I have someone from Breakaway Room 1 sharing with us any examples of the projects that are happening your side? Hello. Yes, go ahead. Is that Sylvia?
Hello.
Hi.
Can you please raise your volume a bit? We hear you from far.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, we can hear you now. Go ahead.
Thank you. I'm Sylvia from Rwanda. And the project we have come across in Rwanda here, especially is music. But there are even the theaters where we transmit our expressions and emotions through using platforms like TVs, news radios, and even those music they are played on those platforms. Thank you, and they have really did a great change in our lives. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sylvia. So that was mainly music. Breakaway Room 2. Who wants to share?
Narrate, we choose somebody to be our leader. Narrate. Yeah.
But you can go ahead and tell us, Esther.
Yes,
Sim. Boa tarde.
Oh, okay.
Sim, boa tarde. O segundo grupo
Yes.
é selecionada como a líder. Então, em Moçambique, tivemos como um projeto de artivismo em 2019. Nós temos uma campanha, tiveram lá rapazes e raparigas, promovendo a desigualdade de gênero para combater as uniões prematuras, a gravidez precoce e garantindo a educação dos jovens e adolescentes.
Let me just translate what Nolet was saying. Is that okay? Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, you can go ahead.
Yes, go ahead.
Basically, Nolet was saying that in Mozambique, the project she's come across was a campaign promoted by young boys and girls with flyers, whereby the message were about gender inequality, early pregnancy, and child marriage. So this campaign with these flyers, with this message, brought about a lot of change within the communities.
E para acrescentar, nós pintamos um lado da cara para demonstrar, nós demonstramos as cores vivas, foi verde, amarelo e o azul, a cor da plane. E muitos pais encarregados de educação viram nossa marcha, a nossa campanha. E eu tenho certeza que motivou, mudou as pessoas, a personalidade das pessoas, porque viram, como pode dizer, os panfletos, sim, a mensagem que trazia nos panfletos. E muitos pais, com certeza, viram e mudaram o seu pensamento.
She was saying that we also painted one part of our face with black, with the red and blue plan color, and with also message. And by doing this, lots of parents were sensitized in the way how they should address child marriage and early pregnancy.
E o colega do Quênia, sim, o Calvin, ele disse que primeiramente tiveram um projeto, eles fizeram uma arte para inspirar os outros, para motivar os outros a seguirem seus sonhos, seus projetos. E, por segundo, eles fizeram um gráfico para motivar as pessoas que não colocavam a máscara, que não se preveniam do Covid-19, para sensibilizar as pessoas que realmente esse vírus existe e que deveriam se precaver.
Kevin, our group member, also shared projects he has come across in his country, in Kenya. And he said that, well, in Kenya, he's part of a group of artists that designed a project to inspire other members of the community to go ahead with their dreams and so forth. And he also shared that in Kenya, because of the global pandemic, the COVID-19, they have designed graphics with message about what to do, wearing masks. And as an outcome of this activity, or this project, members became aware of the need to wear masks, and they changed their behavior. And if there's something I've left out, I think Kevin could add. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for your translation services, and thank you so much for those who shared those beautiful projects. Is there any other group that wants to share? Yes, Sifa, go ahead.
Thank you very much. I've seen that in Rwanda we have some activities which help people to understand gender equality and to teach those young children to avoid early pregnancy. For example, I'm involved in traditional dances in Rwanda where we teach young girls to avoid those early pregnancy and teaching society to avoid abusing or doing those gender-based violence. So thanks.
Hello. Hello.
Hello, we can hear you.
Thank you, Sifa. Thank you for sharing. Can those who are not speaking please mute their microphones? We'll go to you, Boitsepo.
Yeah, por acaso é sentido, né? Estamos no caminho.
Okay, I am Shumba.
Yes.
I am from Zimbabwe, and the two most valid forms of arts that we have been using in my country are drawings and poetry. And so they were sending the messages of the injustices that are committed against women and girls' rights, and also gender-based violence. And they brought about the change of breaking the silence and not staying silent about the injustices in our communities and societies. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing, Boitsepo. Advencia. Advencia.
Hello.
Hello. Order. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, but I want to speak in Portuguese. Hello.
You can go ahead. Yes, you can go ahead.
Yes. Eu sou de Moçambique e aqui em Moçambique nós temos várias formas de artivismo. Uma dessas é as peças de teatro e a música. Temos vários projetos que ajudam, por exemplo, o COC, of Change, que é o projeto Utomi. Dentro de lá temos algumas sessões. Dentro das sessões nós fazemos peças, danças. Essas peças teatrais nós apresentamos nas nossas comunidades, que ajudam as pessoas na comunidade a perceberem algumas coisas erradas que eles têm feito. E não só o projeto, temos também o projeto 18+, auxilia as raparigas na comunidade a entender a necessidade da idade de estudarem, porque algumas peças, por exemplo, têm sido sobre a violência baseada no gênero, por exemplo. É algo que nos preocupa nas nossas sociedades, porque sabemos nós que desde muito a menina tem sido como aquela que deve obedecer aquilo que são as regras do homem. Mas graças ao projeto 18+, nós temos aprendido nas nossas sessões que há necessidade que a mulher tenha uma voz e essa voz deve ser ouvida. E nós, como ativistas, somos nós que, depois de Depois dessas formações, nós vamos partilhar essa informação nas nossas comunidades. It's your time. Traduzir.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing. And I'm sure most of us that speak Portuguese got that. Unfortunately, we don't have translation for now, but I'm sure that from the recordings that we have, we will interact with the project more. Can we keep our next contribution?
If you don't mind, I can provide you the translation.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Yes, hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can
well,
hear
I
you.
just want to give you in brief some of the things that Advancia shared shortly. She was speaking in Portuguese, so I'm going to try to translate and give you very key ideas that she put forward. She said that in Mozambique, there are some projects that they are being implemented now, namely 18 plus, Wutome, and many others. So in the context of these projects, there are some activism that is going on, especially addressing the issue of gender-based violence in the communities, where they display, where they actually present plays in the communities so that the communities can see this issue of gender-based violence. And they try to emphasize that women have got a voice and there is a need of changing of behavior on part of the community. So generally, this is what she wanted to say.
Okay, thank you so much for the translation. Yeah, so I'm noticing from the conversations that we are having that most of the projects that we are doing in our different spaces are kind of a bit similar, and they have to do with poetry, with using the digital space, with using music, etc., to try and push the messages that we want to push through using our art and expressing ourselves in a creative manner. So now that we're already using art in our different spaces, let's connect it to the digital space, because art and the digital space now go hand in hand. I remember yesterday we had briefly mentioned something to do with COVID-19 coming into our communities and making it very hard to mobilize. And so because it has been very hard to mobilize offline and bring people together, we can then use the online communities and online systems that we have in order to connect each other and push our activism and development. So it's up to us as a people to use the data that is already existing. It could be text, it could be images, sounds, technologies, and other forms of communication and interaction to ensure that we spread our art messages through the online space. So art and the online space go hand in hand, and we should take note of that. I know a lot of artists across Africa might have stopped operating these days because of COVID-19, but we can always do our performances online and ensure that we don't stop sending our messages across, and we ensure that it reaches out a wider audience and the audience that we intend to reach out to. So let's try it. I've put on our screen 2 hashtags, hashtag Africa Youth Festival 2021, AYF, and hashtag Artivism. So if you're a poet in the room, can you just write 1 paragraph poetry and use those hashtags? Also tag Plan Mesa, tag Youth for Innovation Trust, and let's try being active using our art online. If you're a poet, you can put your poetry out there. If you're a photographer, you can take your photo and put it out there in form of a picture. If you sing or have any other forms of expressing yourself, you can take that short selfie video, you sing something and you post it using hashtag AYF 2021 and hashtag Artivism. So in whatever we want to send out there, it could be just expression, just drawing something and taking a picture of it and sending it out there. So it can be anything from the 2 days that we've been interacting together. And maybe tomorrow we might want to continue doing that as well. And we just express ourselves in the online space. So currently what we are doing at YIT, some of the projects that I'm hoping that we can learn from, we have what we call the SRHRMO. So this is a mobile application that we have created that is showing where SRHR services across the 10 provinces of Zimbabwe are. So it was very easy to create this application, but it just tries to ensure that we take our art, we put it out there, and we talk about SRHR, sexual reproductive health rights, and we just share all those contacts and everything and just put it out there. So this SRHR Mall is going to be launched at the end of this month. So after it's launched at the end of this month, please make sure that you look for it on Google Play Store and other online stores, and also try to see if you can replicate it in your country and it can work for you. So it's how we're using the digital space. We also have what we call the YIT TV. And in the YIT TV, we have several projects running, and these are some of them.
Youth motivation shows the ability to act as citizens. Welcome to our YouTube channel where we amplify young people. To Catch Me on 120 Seconds of Legislation, a show that brings young people closer to the law by breaking down bills, acts of parliament, and the constitution itself. We make it easier for you to understand your laws and know when to have your say.
Hi, my name is Shabana, and I am inviting you to be part of Accountability Conversation, a show that tasks community leaders to be accountable and reminds us of our duties as citizens. It is brought to you by Youth Innovation Trust and Mashelisa Comedy Club every Friday on this channel.
And I am Rachel, passionately known as Spoken. Join me as I share the spotlight on young women at every Wednesday on hashtag #HowWhatTrend. This is an initiative that provides a platform to the young and celebrate the short history of Alexander Ziba Festival of Youth. For these and more other informative shows, please subscribe.
So don't forget to subscribe, like, and share.
Yeah, share.
For these and other informative shows, please subscribe.
All right, so that was the YIT TV. We have quite a number of shows, from just interviewing councillors, local councillors, to actually shining the spotlight on young women in art. We also have the Ziba Festival, and we are going to be hearing about it very shortly from Novio Sikel. But under the festival, we are going to actually be doing it online this year, and we are going to be providing more music, jazz nights, and all these are talking about change. Their Artivism, and they get to use the online space as well. And we have the Yuma for Social Change project we're doing with Mashelisa Comedy Club. And these have an aspect of reaching out to rural areas to see how young people out there can also be using spoken word to create change in their communities. And we also have the accountability conversations that run on our YouTube channel. So briefly, this was my presentation. I'll leave you with a very beautiful quote from Toni Morrison, and she's saying that this is precisely the time when artists go to work. There is no time for despair, no place for self-pity, no need for silence, no room for fear. We speak, we write, we do language. That is how civilizations heal. And it's time that we heal our civilizations. And it's time that we stand up as young Africans and we use our God-given talents to push community work. So many thanks. This was my presentation for today. So
Thank you, Tando. Thank you so much. I don't know if you've just gone off. Yeah? Or we can't hear you.
I've gone off. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you hear me in the last time, the last statement?
No.
Oh, okay. So I was just reading that quotation that is there. And after reading that quotation, I asked if there is any question. And I think we can only take one question before we go to the dialogue session because we are way behind time.
Actually, what we could do is maybe dive right into the next session. And then we take questions all together, if that's okay with the team. Is that fine? Somebody respond to us. Is that fine?
That's fine.
Yes, that's
okay.
fine.
Great.
Yes, that's fine.
Before we proceed, today we are saying Viva Africa. So 1, 2, 3, go. Viva Africa! Yay! Okay, guys, great. We just want to still take up, today has been Tando's day. And now she wants to dive into the next session. I'm sure she wants to give us a song break before we dive into exactly 30 minutes of the dialogue. So everybody will have only basically 3 minutes to give their submissions. And I can't see Shamira on board, so we proceed with those who are in the room. Yeah, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So do you want to take us to the session, to the Ziba movement and how it started?
Yeah, we can do the Ziba video and share Parama.
Okay, awesome. This is a favorite place. This is my favorite session. So let me just share with you what the amazing team has been doing with Tando and the Ziba movement. Here we go. Okay. And here it is. Just one moment, it's picking. It's speaking from my end. There we go. Don't worry, it will be a bit slow on all our sides because of the bandwidth. There we go.
We have celebrated the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence through the Jazz Market. And also, in December 2020, we released the song entitled Alana. Alana is a little word that means stand up, and the song is motivating people to always stand up against social and economic injustice. Enjoy it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so that's the story for the Pagama song. Tando, maybe you can just reiterate what they said there, because I felt like the sound was a bit low.
Hi, Elsa, I didn't get your last.
Oh, I'm saying maybe you can just reiterate what it says, what the song means, as it looked like it went a bit slow.
Okay. All right. So everyone, there is a group of young women in art in Zimbabwe who call themselves the Ziba Movement, and they are coming together to try and push gender equality and social justice. These are artists that are doing their different things in their different corners, but when they are coming together to the Ziba Movement, they come together for this particular purpose of being activists. So they released a song, we released a song last year in November, and the song is entitled Pagama. Pagama is saying stand up. You're standing up for your rights, considering the different social and economic injustices that we have around us. So that is what the video said very shortly. So maybe we can just go straight ahead and play it, Elsie.
Yes, and here it is. Here we go. Enjoy. So let's all get up and dance to it.
Your volume is low.
Is that better?
That's better.
Youth for Innovation Trust. Awesome, awesome. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Did you guys enjoy it? Some comments, let's see your comments.
Yes, we did.
All right. Elsie, I don't know if you're still speaking, but you're muted.
No, I'm now off. Okay. So great to see you all and to see that you enjoyed it. I can see the comments. The chat box is lighting up. Pagama, great track, great compilation, amazing song, strong message, absolutely. So exciting to see the comments coming in. We now want to dive into the next session around still our dialogue on leading change through activism. You should take it away again.
All right, thank you so much. I think at this point in time, I'm going to call my team. Are we online? Begumusan, Tando, Novuyo, Shamira.
Yeah, so we are online. We are online.
Present.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we are present.
Great. So we're going to start with introductions. Tell us about yourself and tell us about what you've been doing in the field of activism and share what you want us to learn from you. I think for the spirit of the Pagama song that we just shared right now, Novuyo Sigel, can you please go first, Loziba?
Okay, thank you for the opportunity to speak about Loziba and myself. My name is Novio Seagull. I'm not only a singer, but I'm a songwriter. I'm a multi-award winning artist here in Zimbabwe. And I'm an actress as well as a dancer. So I've been passionate about art and, you know, sending art messages that are positive to the country, to a nation, to globally. I was so moved about the whole movement Loziba, and I was part of the songwriting as well in the project. We were trying to send messages to our country as a whole to say, know your rights, stand up for them. We are currently facing a lot of difficulties, shortages of water, shortages of electricity, being cut off now and again, you know, being affected by the economy is just a mess. So we were trying to say, we pay art tax and other lots of things, but we are not receiving the fairness of everything in our country. So we as Loziba Movement decided to come up with a song that was expressing that feel and sending out a message to everyone to say that let's not be afraid. So I'm so grateful and appreciative of the Loziba, and I'm a huge artist. My own right, in my own solo music, I can send out music that empowers, that motivates, that inspires as well. So you can also follow me on my social media platforms. I am Novio Seagull 1 on Twitter. I am Novio Seagull on my fan page, Seagull Novio. You can follow me everywhere, even buy my music online. I am available on all platforms, digital platforms, iTunes, Spotify, Deezer, YouTube. You can check me out as Novio Seagull. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Yep.
All right, thank you for introducing yourself, Sigel Siabonga. We are going to come back to you very soon, as we are also discussing the contribution of art into the gender justice movement. Pegumosa?
Okay, thank you, Tando. As you have already said my name, I am Pegumusa Moyo, currently based in Lusaka. I'm a youth worker, a creative activist, a curator, and a trainer, and I'm now delving more into policy work. Otherwise, today my jacket is more on art and artivism, and how, as young people, we can utilize our creative acumen to speak truth to power, and also to air out our views on different social, economic, and political issues in Africa. I work with Word Smash Poetry Movement, which I'm the regional coordinator currently. We work with young poets, spoken word artists from across the Southern African region on amplifying their voices on issues that affect them in their different settings. So what would you expect to learn from me? I'm hoping to learn more from everyone else when we start interacting. But what you can learn from me is how to use art even in the time of repression. Yeah, and also maybe this current time we are in of COVID-19, to say how best can we utilize our creativity in enhancing that the shrinking civic spaces and the voices of young women, young men, and various genders are amplified in all spaces. Thank you, Tando.
Thank you so much, Pegumosa. Just to check one last time before we bring in Tando. Mbuki, are you in? Mbuki from Kenya, and Shamira? They are not in yet. So Tando, please go ahead.
Hi, and everybody. Thanks for pitching me in. My name is Ntando, as Tando has already said. Ntando Van Moyo. I'm consultant and comedian here in Zimbabwe, in Bulawayo. I work with Umashegi, it's a comedy club, as well as Youth for Innovation Trust, and there's creative expressions for young people. My passion is in the community, and that is what we've been trying to champion over the years as we've been working with the other partners, such as Youth for Innovation. So I'd also like to learn about the different art forms in the different areas that you are, the challenges that you face. We are currently from my locale. I think in general, that's a brief introduction of myself. I'm also a mentor in the humor sector, and as well as being an award. I hope that makes up for an introduction.
It really does. Now, I've already picked up a few of the activities that you guys are doing on the ground, activities that are pushing activism and that are pushing gender justice. And so I would love to know from you, especially considering the young group of people we have in the Africa Youth Festival today, what has it been like? How has the journey been like? What skills should we be picking from you guys? What is necessary for us to have to ensure that we use our art for change? And how do we rope in issues of gender justice as well? So whoever wants to go first from my panel can go ahead.
Okay, I will jump in. Okay.
All right.
I'm on the mic, Tando.
Yes, Peggy, go
Yes,
ahead.
you're on the mic, Mr. Mosh.
Okay, thank you. You know, we are living in a very complex world. Looking also into this period that you see, we are all meeting online, and everything is now abnormal. Or some have termed it the new normal that we have adapted into this space. But I want to raise two critical points, especially on gender justice, as raised by Tando. So I will dwell more on gender justice. We have seen that globally there is a rising trend of ignoring the role of different sexes in building societies. But the current COVID-19 period has shown us that there is so much injustice that is pushed to the corner of a woman than to the corner of the male counterparts, not forgetting the other genders that may fall in between. How are women mainly affected by the current situation that we find ourselves in, especially on voicing out on issues that affect them? You will find that there's so much unpaid care work that is currently happening. A woman is found doing more roles and more chores and work at the same time in a home setup. So I think there is serious need for us to first fix the home as well, as much as we are concentrating on fixing the nations and also fixing the world. So you find women have extra duties, as I have said, in their homes. That's what many studies and also some of the interactions that we had with our female activists that we have. Each time we have online platforms, you find that they are busy with a lot of chores. Like, no, I'm supposed to be doing this before I sit down, and I cannot have this program at 7 p.m. because I'm supposed to be cooking for the family. But you're trying to check what is it that they're going to contribute. It's work also that they are doing. What is the other? What are the other counterparts providing and bringing into the table? So I think in this time, I would say we really need to curate our art in a model that is either easily consumable for everyone and also to co-create our work respecting the different roles that society is expected to perform so that everyone is equal hours. I know we have 24 hours per day, all of us, and then we've got maybe 8 hours, 5 to 8 hours of work. But however, you find that the unpaid care work gap gives women lesser than 5 hours of actual work and lesser than 8 hours, depending on where we come from. So we really need to be deliberate when we are doing these online platforms, or we are interacting using creative skills that are going to be consumed on online platforms or on the digital platforms, to say what attention are we paying to the girl more around this period where we are all always found at home. So that's number one that I would love us maybe to look into. And point number two is young people. You find that in our countries where we come from, I can speak for Southern Africa, the cost of internet data itself is exorbitant. You find that a lot of young people cannot afford to have enough data to use to access information online, which is something that the systems or repressive regimes have taken advantage of. I think we also saw it with the recent elections in Uganda, that when you shut young people out of the internet, you have already crippled them. Other than crippling by shutting down, the prices themselves are crippling because we are wallowing in on high unemployment in our countries. So how best do we create content or works that are easily consumable for young people to access? We have tried to check like audits on how long do young people stay on YouTube, how long do young people stay on WhatsApp, how long do young people stay on Facebook to watch informative content. You find that yes, some of the good content we produce is not even being viewed, not because the young people don't want to view it, but because they can't afford to view it. So we also need to look into that. Maybe in conclusion, as my submission on what we can do. As creatives, our content need to be very cognizant of these realities that young people speak to. I like some of the programs that it does, the short videos, how they must be super short, so small in size, so that young people can easily consume them. And also, which platforms do we use? We also need to try to get closer to where young people are. Downloading stuff on WhatsApp is already compressed, maybe 1 point. Yes, on Facebook, but how long should it be? So we need to have content that is easily consumable and also easily digestible so that our message, yes, can be spread across. This is my 2 cents on the first 2 parts on how we can use creativity to deal with issues of gender, to push the gender justice agenda forward, and also how young people can be roped in, especially during this time of the new normal. Thank you, Tando.
Thank you, Peggy. Sifa and Sylvia, I see your hands. I'm going to get to you shortly, but before I get to you, I want to go to Novio Sekel. Sekel, Peggy spoke a lot about gender roles and said a lot of things about unpaid care work that is there, that is preventing us from actually consuming the data that we need to be consuming online, or the art produce that we have there online, and they are taking up our time and everything. But I've seen that in your work, in the song that you performed for us earlier on, where you were talking about gender-based violence and how people should not still be beating up women in the 21st century. And you said you're dropping that song next month on Women's Month. And I've also seen with the Ziba Movement that you have actually done something around the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, looking at the jazz evening that you guys had. So how exactly is gender-based violence coming into the work that you're doing? How is it affecting the work that you're doing? And what are the trends like in our communities? And most importantly, how can we be dealing with it at this point in time?
Okay, thank you, Tando, for another opportunity. Yes, I've noticed that since the beginning of lockdown, the cases of gender-based violence per se rose up to ridiculous percentages, and that's what inspired my song that is set to drop next month, which is called Imbogoto. And as someone who has personally has personally faced abuse in a way, not physically but emotionally, and who is surrounded by friends, families that are also victims of gender-based violence, I decided to come up with the song so as to send out a message, to say that no matter what we go through, we need to be strong. So it has become a norm that abuse is okay. So that's why I decided to do the song, to drop the song next month, especially dedicating it to women, since it's a Women's Month. And that is my way of being active that is my way of expressing in terms of activism. And with the jazz, with the Ziba Movement, our aim mostly it's a collective of women in all corners of art. So it's our way of, we did the jazz night as our way of creating a space for us as women, because we noticed as well that this is dominated by males. Right now we are under COVID, and there's to perform, to even online, not everyone can afford the data, as my brothers mentioned before. So as that time around, there was a short space to do something. So we decided to do the jazz night, which was also an way of to celebrate the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. So I'm highly active in those activities because I'm surrounded by people that are victims of that, as Hakama song. So some of the questions that you asked are running out of, I'm forgetting them, but I hope I managed to make sense.
Actually.
Sorry?
You have answered them. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Yes. Sifa, you have a question to our panelists?
So thank you very much. It's not the question, it was like a recommendation and the advices for leader as well. So you see, for example, in Rwanda, we have many programs about gender myths and gender stereotypes. So when you say gender stereotype, you understand those unchangeable roles or activities that are addressed to men or female. So we have those issues about gender about gender myths and gender stereotypes. So what I can say about this is to be gender sensitive ones. So the ones who are able to recognize those gender issues and being gender awareness, be aware of identifying those gender issues, and after that we can mainstream gender, so taking into account those gender issues. So after that we can be gender responsive one, those who are able to collect mistakes or to put more mechanisms that can help to avoid those gender myths. So as you who attended this session, we have to change the society, as we have talked before, using activism. Activism have made some changes in gender problems and in gender issues. So in Rwanda, we have problem of not having more trainings about it. So what we need is to help us, and I need your support. I need your support. So you will support us in changing the society, in helping the people, and changing their, correcting those mistakes, those gender stereotypes and gender myths, and being gender responsive. So thanks.
Thank you so much, Sifa, for sharing that. It's very interesting and refreshing to know that a lot is already going on in Rwanda in terms of gender justice and gender sensitive work. And I think most of the issues that she spoke to also speak to some of the things that Ando, you're doing under the Yuma for Social Change project, trying to address gender stereotypes, stereotypes around the Sahara, and also to create that awareness and try to speak about gender issues in a way that's a bit lighter, a bit humorous, so that it's not really heavy to be talking about some of these issues. Can you share with us some of those experiences, so that maybe see if I can pluck a card from your...
So thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Tando. I think you are right. You know, it's a big challenge, especially to try and challenge and we have to be very careful, especially when dealing with rigid communities on the type of language that we use when using our humor and satire, because people have got these misconceptions about satire that it's there to attack and everything else. But we've been trying to say we should use it as a soft skill even music and poetry. These are soft skills that can be used to articulate the challenges that come with, particularly gender issues. Novio earlier was talking about how to abuse Hamad a lot, but when it comes to using humor and actually mocking the issue of being abusive and everything else, and making sure that people that are abusers see themselves mockery and stuff like that. It in a way a room for policy on a non-confrontational level, And you were speaking of also how to break into spaces, particularly comedy and humor circles, because they feel comedy is meant for for the of gender rise. It becomes easier for women to actually articulate them, for young women to express themselves, because I feel they have a much bigger voice to say than the older generation of, say, ladies or any male in any perspective. So once you give topics that relate to them, to young women, it makes it easier for them to talk about these things, because they experience them on an everyday platform. They see jokes about them on social media, and it then becomes just a matter of them streamlining them and making them send through a message to the population, so that people are aware of these issues and they're dealt with.
Thank you, Ntando. Sylvia, come through.
Thank you. I wanted also to contribute on the role of artivism in promoting gender justice. I don't know whether I'm allowed to do so. Am I allowed?
Yes, you can go ahead.
Okay. Artivism has really made a very big change in our country, especially here in Rwanda. It's where everyone got chance to express his or her feelings and emotions through drawings. In artivism here in Rwanda, we draw and we make music basing on our gender and our justice. Here, during in these times of COVID, we don't get chances to meet and we sing and we draw, but due to this pandemic, we have got other ways we can communicate to each other, but there are also the challenges we have came across, like you can reach in one home and you don't find the platform there. That is a problem we have. I don't know whether there is something that can be done to us so that we can reach where others are, because we have been left behind. And also, I want to tell you that in one of Artivism projects their poetry. I want to tell you, if it can be possible, you can make drawings, and those drawings can be put on the road so that everyone can see it in these times of COVID, where we can't meet and talk together, and we discuss through conversations. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sylvia. Jacqueline, come through.
As my colleagues have said, that here in London, the activism is participating well, but there's something where we can challenge we face. We don't meet as a group and we discuss what we are doing as before this pandemic. Now the challenge is one, when we at school, we can't do what we are doing as the recently we are just meeting as one group and discussing about one thing, which will be the important, which will give us a good result in a school, and motivating others and mobilizing others. But these days it is not allowed. But what we are doing, we are just drawing, showing them on the pictures how we can prevent the pregnancies. They promote the good nutrition, teaching them, like participating in the community workers, teaching them about the good nutrition and the preventing pregnancy. As we as students, we are doing the big role about the preventing those. It's like those which we can be including in the activism, because it is a very, very important thing which can help us to feel free where we are, and we mobilize others and motivating in the country we are. Thanks, that's what I have.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing those important insights about what's happening your side. So to our panel, like very important issues have been raised by Sylvia and Jacqueline, and maybe we can take Sean before we go back to our panel. Sean, go ahead.
So I have a few questions. The first one is, how then do we balance art and the message that we want to bring without being too preachy? Because I've realized that I've struggled when I'm writing that if I focus too much on what I'm trying to say, the story or the creativity is then submerged by the realities. So how do they balance between the creative work and the message that they're trying to send? Then my second question is directed at Snovio Siegel. I've seen before women in the arts industry who have stood up towards injustice, and they've had serious backlash, especially the media reacting against them and forcing people to hate them. For example, people like Taylor Swift, people like Rihanna, people like Beyonce, even recently Oprah Winfrey and Shamila Chanel. So as a woman in media who is standing up for something, especially something as delicate as patriarchy, how do you handle the pressure? What has happened to you?
Okay. Okay, thank you for those questions. Sikel, I think there's one directed straightly at you. You can just go ahead and answer.
Okay, thank you for that question. I've learned that the industry is very brutal, and you can never please anyone at all. You can never please everyone. So the best thing is to stick by your word. Be controversial if you want to be controversial. You never know what sells for you. I mean, social media is very critical. So it's not for the hard-fainted. If you go in with small-minded and with a small heart, you are going to spend the rest of your life crying and feeling pity for yourself or being scared. So just go for it. As long as you stand up for your word, for your rights, for what you know is right all the time. So never mind what people say. Throw whatever you want to throw. After all, no publicity is bad publicity. I've managed to stand by those words, and I don't care what people think. I mean, you can't please everybody, my guy. So I'm one person that speaks a mind, and if I think something is right, it's right. I know that there's a certain percentage that's going to definitely support me. I know there's a certain percent that's going to lash at me, and I know that everything comes to pass. Eventually, everyone is going to forget about what you did. So don't be scared. Just go for it. If you know it's right and you're standing up for your rights, especially, just say it. Speak your mind. The rest of the world will adjust. Thank you for that.
Thank you so much, Sikel. And to the other panelists, Peggy and Dando, there are two questions that are still standing out from me, from what Sylvia, Jackie, and the other speakers alluded to. how do we reach out to those young people who are left out, those minority populations that are being left out from all these conversations that we are having now online because of the COVID regulations? So how do we reach out to them in the spirit of leaving no one behind? And also, how do we balance the messages without being too preachy and diluting our creativeness? So whoever is free to take that one first can go ahead. And then Lihle Lihlanga Salama Party.
Okay. Yeah, I think particularly on the issue of balancing between the creativity and and preaching is about picking the topics that you want to talk about. You know, if you know your agenda and you know what you want to talk about, specifically, I'll just pick at random the issue of gender when it comes to spaces for gender. If you want to talk about why there are no spaces for females, safe spaces for females to perform in, which is something that we are very passionate about this side. You can then, instead of maybe, let's say you're writing a poem, as you were saying, you can then put within the poem the facts that you want to deal with. They can just be 2 lines, but you can then cover them with the creative element, which is something that I do not know how musicians do it, but with humor, that's what we do. We attack a certain subject and we make sure that you leave someone feeling that, well, you didn't give them space. Like for like we're talking about women, you're talking about why women can't come out at night and stuff like that. You can then use elements of juxtaposition and stuff like that. I know there are literary skills that are there in place to use to balance these two. I think then to counter that, maybe there would be need for workshopping for activists to be able to be taught to be able to balance between, you know, the art and activism itself, and so that one message does not get diluted by the other. And in terms then probably of reaching out to communities, I think that is a challenge for all of us here, which is that we are still all trying to break barriers off with the whole COVID thing. I think it's a challenge Africa-wide because in terms of accessibility, it's not just the internet, but it's also the roads, it's also the infrastructure, which is also something that we can use activism on to challenge on the infrastructure, the availability of infrastructure, and make it an agenda and use our art to lobby for infrastructure that can be there so that we can reach out to the other marginalized communities as well. That can be something that we can start doing to make sure that our governments and our systems also create infrastructure that will allow us to connect with people from the other remote areas. And of course, yeah, Njobutela parting notes, I think it's been quite, for me, it's been an experience, and I've learned a lot, and I'm looking forward to continue engaging with the team tomorrow again, and even post this platform so we can share ideas and see how we can make, you know, our activism work better for Africa and the world at large. Thank you very much and good evening.
Thank you so much, Ntando. Peggy?
Okay, thank you, Tando. Yeah, I think I will try to address maybe mainly the issue of how do we reach out to the young people that are far from the internet. What we have decided to do as Word Smash, I can just make a life experience. We have gone to our targeted communities for all our activities. Like we've gone rural areas where we gather young people in groups of 15. We record, then we've just been doing recordings, and then now we are going to start posting. And also in those community centers, they've got access of internet. So we have got viewing schedules where they actually come and view the streams together, and yeah, and social distance. It's a big challenge though, I don't want to lie, because the regulations differ from area to area on how we need to combat COVID-19. But we have also tried to reach out to independent radio stations that are broadcasting in the local areas, and also independent TV stations. We are in partnership with Movie TV and Prime TV, and also different community radio stations, Chete FM and others. So it helps amplify the voice, like when we record, and then that those recordings of poems that speak to different issues are then sent to these platforms where, yes, young people access. The only disadvantage is that with these platforms that I've just mentioned, they are one-way traffic. You know, information is just sent the other way, but to comment back becomes a challenge. Yes, we receive some comments from rural areas through our Facebook page and our text message platforms, but however, it's not compensating well or perfectly with what we used to do when we used to have physical gatherings. But it's serving a purpose where information is shared from one district to the other district, and young people from across, they can share that information. We also tried it with DigiStage for Southern Africa, where we got young voices from across Southern Africa into one platform through Zoom, and then amplify it again through the same platforms. It works, yeah, but otherwise, because of the poor internet penetration, it serves as a challenge. But however, TV and radio, but especially radio, has always been the oldest means of communication since time immemorial. People still listen to their radios. So that's our best bet currently. And TV, yes, here and there, homes have electricity now and some signal for TV, but people may not have smartphones and laptops to access our content through data platforms. So that's what we've been doing. And I think in other spaces also, young activists can try to look into exploring community radio stations, and also maybe exploring the use of local TV stations, and see how the voices can be amplified. I've seen YIT do some activities with Sky's Metro FM. I know it reaches quite a number of people, bigger than the national broadcasters. So I think that's another way that we can amplify the voices and reach out to these young people that are being disadvantaged by the current period of COVID-19. Yeah, I think that's my 2 cents on that. And on that note, I would love to say thank you for hosting me. Thank you for recognizing Word Smash, and thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak to a wide range of young people about how we are doing. I learned a lot from the past 3 hours. I've been listening and following up, learning from the challenges of other young people from different countries and their amazing contributions into trying to build a just and a reasonable world. Thank you so much. I hope some other time in some other activities we will interact again. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Peggy. Thank you, Novuyo, and thank you, Ndando. That was a very interesting conversation, and thank you for sharing the work that you're doing, and also thank you for doing the work that you're doing in our different community. Africa really needs it. So as we are wrapping up the day, I want to know how everyone is feeling right now and how we think today was in just a few seconds. Sifa, I see your hand is up.
So I got the question from there. He told us he helped those people who are using social medias. So I've got the question there. How did he help those people without those communication tools like smartphones? For example, for students don't have those tools used in communicating like smartphones. So how did they help them? So thank you.
All right, so going back to what Peggy was saying just now, Sifa, to answer you very quickly, he said that they are now utilizing the radio, the community radios, the TVs, and some flyers, depending on the COVID-19 regulations on where you are. And you can always use a wide range of mediums. And also try to make sure that you create strategic partnerships with people who can reach out to the larger population with your message. So Esther Nilton, how are you feeling? Esther first.
I'm feeling okay. I'm feeling good, but I was trying to answer Sifa what she was asking about school. I mean, how school, how they can make students engage in those issues. I mean, we are trying, us as advocates in our community, we have tried to use school clubs to convey to the students what we know about, I mean, what on different issues. So that is the way they can also use in their country to students. They can formulate clubs. I think in schools it is allowed different clubs. Thank you.
Thank you, Elsa. Yes, Nilton. Can we also be talking about how we are feeling today, because we are about to wrap up. We are out of time, but we are going to have time again tomorrow morning early, just to reflect on today as well. So Nilton, how are you feeling?
Okay.
And how was today for you?
Yeah, I will speak in Portuguese and my translator will speak in English.
Okay, thank you.
Eu estou muito grato pelo dia de hoje.
Well, I'm very glad that I took part in today's meeting.
Foi bom participar na sessão de hoje.
It was good taking part in today's session.
Aprendi muito.
I learned a lot
com os outros,
with the others.
E vi que na verdade precisamos ir avante.
And now I realized that we need to take this issue of activism ahead.
Essa forma de ativismo para alcançarmos os nossos colegas jovens que ainda não estão informados.
To target other people who are not yet informed on activism.
Para que possam ter esse conhecimento da justiça de gênero.
So that they can be aware on gender justice.
E pudermos juntos caminhar
and work together
para fim melhor,
for a better end.
E todos nós sermos pessoas iguais e não haver discriminações.
So that there won't be any discrimination.
E estou ansioso para o dia de amanhã.
And I look forward for tomorrow's session.
Espero que tudo corre bem.
I hope everything goes on well.
E que Deus nos abençoe para tal.
And God bless us.
Obrigado.
Thank you so much, Nelson and your interpreter. Advencia, then Jacqueline, then we are going to call Elsie and close.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, Advencia, go first.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. A lot of things have been said, and here other people have talked a lot about the different ways we can use to continue our activities in this pandemic time. But I didn't understand yet what we can do with some girls who are in the field, who cannot have cell phones, televisions, radios, so that they also have this knowledge that we have been here, because we cannot make meetings in the communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie. You can go ahead.
Thank you for this opportunity. As my colleague has said that they use the school clubs to implement their information. As in these periods, we know we are not allowed to be gathered at one place. How do they do it? What technique do they use
to implement those information to their colleagues? How do they do it in simple terms? And another one is, what support can you give to students like us, the girls, who can to teach other friends or other students about the activism in these periods of the COVID-19? Thanks, that has been my question. Thank you.
Thank you, Jacqueline. I'm noticing that we still have quite a lot of questions and we are noting them down. And let us all go and reflect on these questions tonight. Then when we come back in the morning, we get the opportunity, okay, in the afternoon tomorrow, we get the opportunity to actually talk about them briefly as we are doing our recap. So thank you so much, everyone, for following through today's session. It was a very mind-opening session to me, and I really enjoyed myself. So for today, I'm going to end here. Elsie, are you still around?
Yes, I am. Sorry, I was fumbling with removing the live. Yes, I am. And it's so exciting to see the young people, you know, giving such inspiring messages. I also want to just look at how the messages that Fidel is also given and the rest. We are taking note of all the things that you've done. Esther is also asking, can she get topics highlight which were discussed? Of course, we should be able to get it right after we finish. Thank you guys for staying on till this time. And a big thank you to Tando and her team. Let's all clap for her. As we end up, as we wind up right now, we just want to say again, goodbye and see you tomorrow at 2 p.m. East Africa time. See you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
See you. See you tomorrow.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Hey, everyone.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.